was just a boy. Christmas brought so much joy. Couldn't wait for the presents and laughter. I couldn't sleep late at night, looking for Santa with lights. Those are the memories I still remember. Then I became a man, lost sight of who I am, but right in front of me was the answer. 'Cause on Christmas I feel joy, and I turn back to a boy. The answer is to stay young forever. This is not a Christmas, this is not a Christmas song, this is not a Christmas, this is not a Christmas song, this is not a Christmas, this is not a Christmas song, this is not a Christmas, this is not a Christmas song.
Hello, Star Wars fans. You know, there's just 332 days until Christmas 2023. Oh, and Melon, you didn't get me today, my friend. Melon, every now and then, it doesn't do the intro and it says, you're already live. And today, I was prepared. It did that, and I won. We still got the intro. We did that, and it worked out great. So we've got 332 days till Christmas. We've got some Star Wars news to talk about. And I've got my friends Jason Ward and Star Wars Meg to join us today. And I was talking to Meg earlier, and I came on a realization this morning on Twitter.
That you can't marry Daisy Ridley? It's too bad, dude. You're already married, and you missed your chance.
I know. I am way too old too. But in any event, before Meg was a computer generated AI GIF that we have today. She was actually featured in an animated movie called Monsters Inc. And she was featured in that movie. If you watch Twitter, you see Meg and I were going back and forth on her Twitter. I thought I'm going to use that. She's actually grown up now to be a computer generated AI.
Was she a little one-eyed monster? What's going on here? Was she the little girl?
Yeah, the little girl.
That is you. I knew you from somewhere.
That's what I'm saying. Before we came onto the show, Santa was like, "Oh, by the way, Meg, I'm going to say this joke about you." And you know what's funny, Santa? You were this close to a face reveal because I was genuinely ready for a face reveal today, and you blew it.
Oh, I blew it. I had my chance. I actually did get a half a face reveal that was sideways and like.
I accidentally drag and dropped a picture that was meant to drag and drop elsewhere. That sounded way more wrong than I thought it would.
But it was half a face reveal, and it was quite a lovely half a face. But that's all I've seen.
Did you get an idea of what I look like?
I do have an idea.
Did you get a dark cheek? One dark cheek.
A dark cheek, the facial kind.
I did see one cheek, one ear, one eye.
I always get the cheeks. I don't know what it is about him.
Yeah.
So much fun. So you did touch base on one thing we're going to talk about. We'll talk about Daisy Ridley here, but there's a couple other little stories I think that we can cover first. Let me share my screen here because there's a couple of smaller stories, I'll say. Let's see. Share that. Close that. Bespin, our good friend Bespin.
Who?
He and Jason, you followed up on this.
That poser.
Right? It says Daphne Keene's character in Star Wars, the Acolyte, possibly revealed. So Daphne Keene, she's going to be one of the featured actresses in the Acolyte, and Jason, you can tell us this story because you got some additional information.
Yeah, I'll just
yesterday,
say,
right?
Bespin and myself can confirm 100% that her name is Little Jecki. Okay, Jecki. I added little. That's not really part of the name, but her name is Jecki. 100%.
Jecki.
It is totally confirmed. It's not a code. It's not a typo. It's not. It's real.
And we don't know. Do we know anything else about Jecki? Jedi, Sith, bounty hunter.
I'm not going to say anything at this time. Just that she's little Jecki.
There you go. That's all we get.
I just said, God bless it. In anger.
Yeah. But it's like how, let's say it's how KG spelled it right now. I think it's little Jecki.
Little Jecki featuring Sean Paul and Jason Derulo.
Yep.
Over my head. I don't get.
Sorry, I was with you, and then I saw my heart break in real time
because of Linus Mosk.
Yes.
Yeah, Linus Mosk. He's not going to be back for season 2, and this happened in a bit of an exchange with a fan, right? Like, hey, I loved your character. It's like, yeah, well, hope you did, because he ain't coming back. Like, what?
Yeah, a lot of some fans took the end of Andor when we see him that he was like broken by what he saw, and that his life changed and he took a different direction. I personally didn't see it that way when I watched it, but now I'm like, well, I think that's the only like interpretation to have now if he never gets to come back. But I mean, I'm kind of hoping that with the show still filming, maybe if we cry enough in a polite way, they'll like be like, we need to get him on. You know, we need to bring him for a moment.
At least have him walk
I had a
by
Spanish teacher in high school who was Scottish, and the gentleman had a very similar physique, I'll put it that way, as Linus Mosk. And so it reminds me of him, and I'm just like, I really want more of my Spanish teacher in Star Wars. But you know, the position of Linus Mosk with the flask of alcohol at the end, it reminds me of my uncle. We went to a Chelsea-Barcelona game back in 2010, and Chelsea lost in like the last minute, and that's what he looked like at the end outside the stadium.
Yeah, I know. I've been there. I'm not a big sports guy, but I got into like UFC for a short time, and I really liked Andrei Arlovsky, and we wanted to go to the what was it called, the Honda Center, and we wanted to drink, and it was kind of a long walk, but we decided to walk and go to the fights, and we saw him twice. Both times he lost. And the second time we're just like doing this long walk of shame with our alcohol that we snuggled in our backpacks. And that was my Linus Mosk moment. I've been there. I'm not better than it. I understand the defeat.
A couple of fun comments, like a Scottish Spanish teacher. That's just funny in and of itself.
I often hear that whenever I tell the story about him, because he was quite memorable. He was Glaswegian, so he's from Glasgow. And yeah, he had like the thickest Scottish accent.
El under siege, Cerro! No?
But the irony is, we understood him better in Spanish than we did in English.
and I think, what was it? Was it Alexander? Yeah, he's like, where was the quote? Would love to hear Meg speak Spanish. I've actually heard Meg speak Huttese. She does quite a good job of speaking Huttese.
Que la fuerza esté contigo. Sorry, that's my best.
May the force be with you.
Yeah, that's
you know. I like this Diego Luna tidbit that he said on Kimmel when he was like, in Spanish-speaking countries like in South America and Mexico and stuff, they call R2D2 Arturito because that's what it sounded like.
Did you ever?
So now I keep calling him Arturito in my home life when I'm saying,
Oscar Isaac calls him BB8.
BB8
instead of BB8. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
BB8.
That's cool.
So the thing on this Linus Mosk not being in season 2, the stories move on forward, and the one thing I'm looking forward to is getting to see Diego Luna's, right, to see Cassian find, meet, reprogram, whatever, K2-SO. That's a part of the backstory that I would love to see in this show.
What if we don't? Like what if we just get to like episode 3 and then he's with K2? Like I'm wondering if they would do that. I don't know. I don't really have an opinion on it. I could definitely see it being on the table. It's not a story that was integral to the formation of the rebellion necessarily, even though he's important. But
I disagree.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
you
that's
have
fair.
to get K2-SO in there.
Yeah.
I think one way or another, because there's so many adventures he goes on with Cassian until Rogue One. So I feel like it's going to be weird if he's not there. They don't even need to tell the origin story from the comics. They could do something different, or he's just there. You know,
Well, that's what you're saying, right, Jason? Is just K2 is just there. We don't get the backstory of like him reprogramming and finding him and all that.
Right. Yeah, I think he'll be in the show. I'm just curious if we'll see it or not. I hope we do. And I don't think the comic book story, I think they're in a weird spot with it though, right? The comic book story just might not really line up. That might be the first official thing we see get turned into Legends, maybe.
Well, here's the thing with that comic. Very few fans have read it. Because when I covered it on my channel, like, a lot of my comments were just like, I didn't even know this existed. So I feel like they might do the balancing out the thing of like, well, very few fans have seen it. Most fans have seen Rogue One. Let's just do a new story.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm okay with that in the end. I mean, I'm okay with things that are canon becoming legends when it's for the greater good. I don't like it, but if it's for the greater good, what can you do? If it's Star Wars is a living thing where they keep continuing to make new content and growing it, nobody could have saw Andor coming, you know, back then, 2016, 2015, when they were saying, hey, let's do a comic book where we tell the origin story of K2-SO. But hopefully they like learned a lesson about doing big stuff like that, though. I mean, it was good. I was excited for the comic because I was like, oh, we're gonna see that, cool, and that's why I got it. But was it worth the? You know, not many people read it. I don't think it was a big seller. Was it worth it in the end? Probably not.
It's Matt. It's from a certain point of view. That you know that has become Star Wars lexicon since the very beginning when George Lucas changed the story midstream, right? Like he just changed it. Sketchcraft's in the chat.
Yeah. Little Jecki.
Jecki's a big fan of Avatar. And you know, Sketchcraft, Rob is a big Avatar dude, right? He's into the Avatar. And I tried to talk my wife into going to go see it in 3D because Rob said, "Look, you're not doing yourself a favor if you don't go watch this the way it's intended to be watched, like 3D, big screen. You got to experience it." So I tried to talk my wife into that. She's like, "Nah,
okay,
not going a 3-hour, 15-minute
roll
movie.
it back. Roll it back. Were you asking a woman who currently might only have vision in one eye to go see a 3D movie? That's very selfish, Santa. Very, very selfish. That's about you at that point.
Well, you better get half off on the glasses.
Get her a 3D monocle.
3D monocle. I don't know if that's the way 3D works. Point taken.
How is her eye? How is that? Has there been improvement?
Yes, there has been improvement. The gas bubble that was in there has been completely absorbed, so she can see through it now.
So she can 3D it now if she wants to. She can see the blue people.
Yeah.
Thank you for the reminder, Seth, about the celebration tickets now being available. I completely forgot.
There's she still has some distortion in that left eye, so like straight lines would be wavy.
Like a big muff. Like,
yeah.
No? Okay.
No. And Meg, have you decided yet what your involvement is going to be with Celebration?
My involvement is in
participating, attending.
I'm definitely going to be attending. I was meant to be participating. I still haven't heard back.
Okay.
But they reached out the first time. They were like, "Oh, do you want to do this?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, I'll do that." I can't say what that is, but
right.
Crystal meth. Sorry.
Well, that's where your brain went.
I don't know. I was like, what's the worst thing they could have asked Meg to do? And I was like, oh.
No, now you made my brain go. So no, there's but there is a big concert Sunday night at Celebration where a lot of our friends are being are participating in it. I encourage you guys to go look for that. And I know Baymax is in the chat. Baymax, put a link in the chat to the information about the concert Sunday night. It's a big deal. Our friend Darth Elvis is going to be there performing. We're going to have Ash, the band, is going to be performing.
I like that band. Not too shabby. Had a Jackie Chan song. Not too shabby either.
It's going to be a big deal.
They did the Attack of the Clone or the Clone Commandos game single. It was a single for it, and pretty cool stuff. And also, Bespin Bulletin will be there, or Nick will be there from Bespin Bulletin at least, rapping. That's much my promise to you.
Rapping
Nick
gifts
from the Bespin Bulletin podcast will be there rapping gifts. Yeah, and by gifts I mean fat rhymes.
I can't tell if you're joking.
No, Nick is going to be there. Nick is going to be there.
Yeah, but the rapping
tickets
part.
Are 68 quid.
Yeah, Nick. Nick probably
quid.
Put some stuff on eBay, I guess.
What's a quid? Is that like $1?
A pound, so like
a pound,
$1.30, I think, or something like that.
Okay.
Crack prices.
Yeah.
I'm just letting it go there now today. Sorry.
Oh, Jason. Let's see if we can get back on the rails.
Okay.
So no more.
Santa, you lost that ability the minute you said Jason and Meg are joining me today.
Yeah,
this is true.
And you put Mosk up there, and look at him. He's just look at him pounding.
And then it got worse when Rob joined the chat. Then forget it. It was good. But thank you for the super chat, Rob. That was great. K2, we're likely to see. We've heard that he is going to be in season 2. What about B2? B2 Emo, right? The cute new little droid. You think they'll continue having him in the story, or is that it?
Did I hear you correctly? Did Santa say the cute nude droid or the cute new droid?
Nude droid. The cute nude droid. Yeah.
I definitely think B2 is going to be in season 2. If they're bringing like Brasso and Bix and all the Ferrex people, we'll see B2. They know he's a fan favorite.
Yeah.
I hope so. I like B2, and K2 is one of my favorite droids of all time. Just his cheekiness, right? Like his attitude, the way, like, how'd you know it was me? Or it wasn't me, right? Like when she shot the droid. Wait, how did you know it wasn't me? Really good. Really good.
Every time I've seen Rogue One in the theater, that part goes over really well. That part lands.
It is. The humor there is great. It's fantastic. So then we've got this news story, and let's see, did I skip anything? No. We got this news story, and this is an example of going to the source, right? So I found an article, and it talked about Daisy Ridley, and it said in an interview with Rolling Stone. So what did I do? I clicked on Rolling Stone, and then I went to the Rolling Stone interview. This what I encourage folks to do. And you see, this is from January 23rd. So this isn't new. This is like 4 days old now. But
that's new. 4 days? Come on.
Well, they're taking little parts of the story and issuing other stories out of it, right? That people are making articles, and then those get pumped into videos, and then
content farm
goes. Yeah. But all of it then becomes further and further distanced from the original story. And so if somebody reads, say, the second generation story out of this, and then they watch a video based on that, and then they watch another video that, some knucklehead did, and then they create their own content. By then, we're down the telephone game so far.
And it's that Daisy's in the Riva show. I get it. I get how it works.
Exactly. But I thought this article was good, and I thought maybe we would go through it together, if you guys don't mind. I know our friend Megan has a very big interview coming up today, right? Before we get into it, you want to kind of give folks a little bit of a. She disappeared.
She went to the interview.
We lost her.
Yep.
Maybe
She's like,
she'll
you
be
weren't
back."
supposed to mention the interview.
No. No. We're fine mentioning the interview, but yeah, Meg has a big interview today, and so she can't stay for the whole show. But I
Like
I
literally
expect-
left. She's like, oh, I forgot.
or maybe her phone rang early for the interview. So she does have a big interview today with somebody involved in Star Wars production. So I don't want to give too much away here without Meg's involvement. But watch for that. Watch for that. Oh, there she is. She's back.
Yeah, I don't know what happened, but I'm into
Disappeared.
performers from the Kenobi show.
Yes.
Wait, who?
Stephen Cannon.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. She's been soliciting for questions on her Discord.
Indeed.
And that interview's coming up here within the hour.
And by the way, guys, if any of you are patrons, and I know a couple of you are, at 20 minutes ago, I posted part 1 of the Book of Boba Fett, dramatized, narrated by me version on Patreon. So if you want the Boba escaping the Sarlacc excerpt, that's out for you now.
Wonderful. I'll be doing that later today, for sure. And you've got the interview today. Do you have yet a schedule when you're going to publish the interview or the results of the interview or anything like that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, earliest tomorrow morning, latest Sunday. And I've also got to publish the interview I did with Astromech Jeremy. We had an amazing conversation about Star Wars droids.
What a great guy. I really like him a lot.
He's lovely.
yeah.
Lovely person.
Yeah, he's great. So look for the interview this weekend. Star Wars Meg doing the interview with what's his name again?
Stephen.
There you go. So so when Meg has to go, you can just like, hey guys, I gotta go, but we understand what's going on. We've got this article. I thought it'd be fun to go through it together because there's a lot of fun information in here.
Oh, Meg's opening up a beer. Cold one. Cool.
Coors Light. Sparkling water.
Coors Light.
And look, I've been going through the Palpatine novel on Patreon, but I don't read it. Nobody wants to listen to me read, so I've been using the Audible version, and we're going through the Palpatine novel, as Matt puts it, which is really what it is. I mean, it's got Palpatine's face on the front of it, and he's really the lead of the story, but unfortunately they titled it incorrectly and they put Darth Plagueis on the title.
I want you to read it
Santa.
And call him Darth Plagueis every time.
Plagueis.
Just do Plagueis.
But sometimes I write in saying you like other James Luceno novels like Tarkin and some of the other ones.
They're fine. And even the Plagueis novel's fine. It's just got the wrong cover page on it. It's like what he really meant was Darth Sidious. And somewhere along the way that got dropped and they put Plagueis on the front of it. Because, I mean, it's not about Plagueis, it's about Sidious. So, there's that.
It had George's involvement, so it probably started off one way, and then George probably, in giving his notes about Plagueis, kept giving Palpatine notes. Because everything he saw Plagueis through the Palpatine lens, I bet you that's what happened. If you ever get a chance to talk to Luceno, I wouldn't be surprised if that's what happened.
I sent it to the editors. It said Darth Sidious right on it, but then when I got the draft, they changed it to Plagueis. I don't know what happened. Yeah, bait and switch.
Bait and switch, y'all.
Bait and switch. Yeah. Oh, I'm going to learn about Darth Plagueis. I've been curious about him ever since Palpatine name dropped him to Anakin. Mm-hmm. I've been dying to know about this Darth Plagueis fella. Yeah. And so, look, there's a book. It says Darth Plagueis right on it.
But let's be fair, though. The Palpatine stuff is more interesting.
Well, true. But that's been my complaint about the novel from the get-go. Is like I jumped in with expectations,
Right.
and my expectations were not met. So that's fun. Matt, we need to go Bo Karen on them and call out the public. Yeah, not enough people are on the bait and switch train with the Plagueis novel. I've been trying to drum it up, but nobody's getting the rage.
Manta, I almost read out Brett's comment, and I'm glad I didn't.
You guys are fun. All right, here we go. A Rolling Stone. Daisy Ridley is she's doing a promotion around Sometimes I Think About Dying, which sounds like a very bleak movie, by the way. I was reading in this article, they talk about it, where as she's going about her daily show or daily life, she stops and contemplates what it would be like to be dead.
Well, here's the thing, Santa. I didn't know this was a movie, so I was on YouTube a few days ago, and it said Daisy Ridley, quote, "Sometimes I think about dying." I was like, oh my gosh.
Right. Goth Ridley.
Did J.J. Abrams ruin her that badly? So I clicked on it and I was like, oh, that's a movie.
It's a movie. It says here, in Sometimes I Think About Dying, she plays Fran, a woman who does data entry in a nondescript office in a quaint coastal town in Oregon. Fran is guarded and dismissive of her coworkers. In her spare time, she fantasizes about her body laying dead in a forest.
Oh, I've dated her before.
She's one of your exes.
Yeah. Daisy Ridley, the better looking version of an ex. That's what I'd say. That's what that movie is to me. I love Joy Division though, and I do too.
I just don't know about this. I don't know if this movie's like in my wheelhouse. I mean, I'll watch it. Love Daisy. I'm just not thinking this is an odd movie. In lieu of connecting with those around her, she feels like disconnecting entirely. It's a devastating turn. Who imbues Fran with quiet courage. So weird. But in here we get great interview questions, and this is by I don't know. No, that's Marlo Stern. Marlo Stern is doing the interview, and you'll see Marlo does bring in a lot of things that she is. You'll see, like she keeps asking questions, and Daisy's like, nah, I don't think about that. So,
Rick Jones, you can tell it's fiction because there are no jobs in Oregon.
My brother lives in Oregon. That's pretty true. It's pretty.
Put a bird on it.
There's a. Let's see. There we get a picture from the movie, right? So
that sure is Daisy Ridley. It's like whenever they release a new Mandalorian poster, it's like, yep, that's Mando, all right.
Little thing about Star Wars media literacy, though. Whenever actors are doing interviews, and it's a small movie like this, they will entertain the Star Wars questions, because then it gets covered by Star Wars people, which then gets the little movie attention. This is not a flare going up that Daisy Ridley is going to be in the next Star Wars movie. People have tried to make it seem like that. That's just not how the game is. That's not how this game works. There could be no Star Wars movies ever being made, and she would still do it, because that's why.
Gotcha. Very good. Great insight, Jason. So
sorry.
The very first question, by the way, can't help but notice the ring. Did you get married? She says, yes, I got married. Now, the interesting thing here is I heard this a long time ago, like months and months ago, that she got married, but it was kind of on the down low. Nobody's talking about it. And then I didn't see anything after that, like corroborating it or giving us more detail. Like what happened? Yes, she is married. She's married to the guy that produced the movie. So there's that.
You know what I was expecting? After she says, yes, I got married, I was expecting like a little caption that said, interviewer slams notes on chair and walks away.
That sound you heard was millions of lives suddenly being snuffed out when they like, oh, she got married. I know, Meg, you had quite the devastating reaction to it yourself. You're like, oh,
I did. My day was ruined.
Completely ruined. Yeah. And it was much like when one of the first times I talked with Meg, and she shared that she was in a relationship. Millions of hearts around the Star Wars community broke the moment they learned that Meg was in a relationship. And they're like, oh, chances, they're gone.
Yeah.
So sad.
I think it's 4 years this year. Was it 5 years? So either 4 or 5 years this year.
That's fantastic. This year, when?
Sorry?
When's the like date-iversary or whatever you call it?
Date-iversary, August the 27th.
August 27th.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. The fifth anniversary of starting to date. Right? So, yeah. So there you go. Meg had a better chance with Daisy than the rest of us. Well, that's probably true. I mean, at least you live in the same country.
Exactly. Although I think Daisy Ridley is into men.
Yeah. Well, she married a guy, so you never know. But it's a clue. Like,
is he British? Is he American man? Is he? Where's he from? Do you know?
I don't know. I don't know where he's from.
Because if he's American, I'm going to start shouting USA and pounding on the desk right now.
But she's married. She's married and confirmed. She confirmed it herself. And there's a picture in here of them like on set, and there you can kind of see the ring on her finger, barely.
Why is she dressed like Hillary Clinton?
Pantsuit.
Come on, Daisy Ridley.
So anyhow, there's the Sometimes I Think About Dying portrait for Sundance Film Festival. So we'll get past some of the Sometimes I Think About Dying thing, and this here was one of the first questions that the author of the story was kind of fascinated with. Career during the pandemic. What did you do during the pandemic? And it says people started interacting again together in person. The first social interaction seemed quite alien and awkward. Right. So when things began getting a bit closer to normal, so after the pandemic, she says, I think in general, she doesn't feel worthy, which a lot of people understood. Occasionally, I think about why would people want to hang out with me, right? Daisy herself.
Yeah.
People are constantly questioning where they fit into the landscape of the world and if they're doing enough to be a part of things and connect.
So I bought a pantsuit.
Yeah.
No, sorry.
You know, I've got a story about Daisy Ridley just before I go.
Mm-hmm.
My sister, who used to do like acting school on weekends, actually knew someone who knew Daisy Ridley, and they were at the same house party because they're like the same age. They're at the same house party, and Daisy like was walking past one door with a glass of champagne and goes, "Oh, sorry," to my sister. I know it's a nothing burger, but it's a fun fact.
Maybe it was this. She says she was invited. There's a group. I went to my friend's birthday. Been friends with her for 10 years. I was like, oh, I only knew her and didn't know anyone else going. And I was terrified, so scared.
That's not what she said. That's not what she said.
She said, I had such a nice evening. And thought, oh, that was so nice.
No, she said the F word.
A small but lovely victory.
Dennis, she said the F word. You didn't read it.
No, I'm not going to. She's got a filthy mouth. But maybe it was this party. Maybe it was the party your friend went to. Or was this further back than that?
I think this is further back, but
I'm pretty sure Daisy Ridley's only been to like 2 parties. So
it could have been the same party that she's talking about here in.
By the way, there's a conspiracy that Jason's actually from the UK. Mm-hmm. He shared with us a screenshot of his the upcoming Santa stream, and the time was in GMT.
Yeah.
So I think he is here in the UK. And my sources tell me that Jason actually went to Morningwood Academy. That's where you studied.
Well,
I majored in masturbating.
They're
Fishing school.
debating.
It
Matt,
shows.
you missed a syllable. Debating. That's what you meant to say. Debating.
Oh, you meant debating on a large scale, mass debating.
Yeah, but Rob's not wrong. Jason's trying to get Santa to put himself on the naughty list. I know. Yes, there have been rumors afloat that Bespin Bulletin and Jason Ward are indeed the same person.
Nope.
Two personalities, same individual.
I'm gonna. So, at first, I was like really into this idea, but then he showed me what he eats, and this is a picture right here, and it's curry on bread, on white bread, as a sandwich.
That sounds fine to me. But
I don't see the problem.
I don't see the problem.
Yeah. I was all about it. Then he sent me the picture. I was like, when he told me about it, I was like, cool. Then he showed me the picture, and I was like, that looks gross.
Oh, it
Kind of reminds me of Rob's reaction when I told him I eat baked beans. I can't say it today. I told Rob I eat baked beans, and he had the funniest reaction.
You told Rob you ate.
But was what you eat the baked beans with, I think, was the thing.
Well, he theorized I eat baked beans with Red Bull, which is kind of accurate to like a few weeks ago, and so he kind of called me out on it. But
baked beans and Red Bull?
Not like the Red Bull in the beans, like as a drink.
Okay. That's
as a beverage.
Yeah. There's something violent about that. I don't know what it is.
There is. It's called heartburn.
I've
got to go, guys, though.
Yeah, it's called you're young. You can
make...
still get by with eating stuff like that. That will change. All right.
That's all we've got in the UK with the cost of living crisis, as we call it.
Yeah.
Well, enjoyed the interview. I hope it goes well. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
We're talking about how really that's not, she didn't really have an interview. It's all that baked beans and Red Bull, right? She has to hit the app.
Baked beans and Red Bull for breakfast. That's a way to start your day right there.
Yeah.
So we talked about this, the interactions. It says the next question, you came off 3 of the biggest movies of all time, and then we're hit with the pandemic. It seems quite disorienting. What was it like getting off that crazy ship and moving forward with your career? Now, you remember after the sequels, there was some stories that came out saying she can't find work. Daisy can't find work. The sequels ruined her career. She's a no-name nobody. Nobody wants to cast her. Blah, blah, blah. Right? There were a ton of stories like that. So this sort of picks up from there. She says, I feel like, well, it wasn't not starting again, but in a way, I joined something that was always bigger than I ever was. And it's a huge thing that I slotted into. And when it finished, it was a real time of recalibration. That's what we're talking about, right? So she came off 3 biggest movies in the world. What's next? What do you do next? She's like, I was like, whoa. It wasn't just, I have to say goodbye to all these people. I've worked for years and years. It was also about schedule and structure and knowing I had a job. You're young. You get cast in one of the biggest franchises in the world. You've got a steady job and a steady paycheck for several years. You come off of that. Life as an actor is job to job. So you've been on set. You've had a schedule to meet, and now find something, right? And then there was a lockdown. So here she says she came off of that schedule and structure, and then boom, nothing, right? And then there was a lockdown. And like so many other people, I was trying to figure out what I was without work. This is where we heard those stories before, right? Mm-hmm. I know a lot of people worked in that first year of lockdown, and I didn't work till the end of the year. It was nice to return to work because I'm so grateful for the opportunity. And for me, Star Wars is joyful. So there's also been a narrative like, well, Star Wars ruined her career. She doesn't want to go back, or she does want to go back, or John Boyega wants to go back, or John Boyega doesn't want to go back.
Well,
All these
you're
stories.
overexposed when you do Star Wars. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're good or not. I mean, you are overexposed, and when you want someone to focus on your moderate sized film and the performance and believe in the character, they don't want people seeing Rey. Like it's a real thing. I mean, it's why Mark Hamill primarily became a voice actor. Sometimes you'll hear people say it's because of his car accident. I don't think so. I think it's because of the exposure of Luke Skywalker was just insane. You know?
Yeah. I mean, think about how many movies, other than Harrison Ford, of course, which came in with a career already established, and then continued on with Indiana Jones. Other movies, quite a prolific acting career, and which, by the way, I'm enjoying in the Yellowstone series.
Mm-hmm.
Quite good.
It's good.
Quite good.
Okay.
So Harrison Ford had a career, but what else was Carrie Fisher known for outside of Star Wars? What was Mark Hamill known for outside of Star Wars? What were these people who had really character-defining moments being cast in Star Wars as very young people? Carrie was a teenager, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mark was very young. This is where he started his career. So, of course, both very successful. Both did other things, but still, when you think of Carrie Fisher, maybe it's because we're in a Star Wars space, but when you think of Carrie Fisher, still the first thing that comes to mind is Star Wars, and yet you struggle to find, what were the other things she did? I'm gonna have to go IMDb that, to find it. Now, Mark Hamill.
Was it like Shampoo or something? I can't remember.
Yeah,
it was a couple of.
See, this is my point.
It was in the Blues Brothers, but that was, I think, concurrent with Star Wars, probably. And yeah, there's really.
Yeah.
I mean, their careers begin at those two. Their careers begin at Star Wars, and then then later on, I think like it was weird seeing her like in The Burbs, and then she became a ghostwriter for Hollywood, which is, I think, where she primarily, or a script doctor. And I think that's where she actually found her like real calling. I think she was more of a writer than an actor.
Exactly. And Mark has done a lot of fantastic voice acting. And some of it people weren't aware of, right? Like he was involved in the prequels as a voice actor. So he's been in Hollywood. He's been in a lot of productions as a voice actor. Of course, the Joker.
Yeah.
He's some people. Mark Hamill is the best version of Joker that has ever been made.
Hard to argue with. It's hard to argue with that one.
It really is. It really is. So here's what she's saying, right? So she was happy to get back to work, and for me, Star Wars is joyful. I know they bring that up for a lot of people, but for me, it was joy. Not always. It was difficult, but overall, I loved my experience. I worked with amazing directors and actors that I respect, so it was an amazing beginning of a career. I feel like I'm not having to start over, but it's a different path.
Yeah, I have a friend who went through some stuff, and he was talking about starting over one time, and he was saying like, my therapist tells me it's starting over with experience. It's not the same thing. And that's, I think, kind of where she's at. She is in a weird way starting a new phase of her career, kind of starting over, but not necessarily, because she's all this experience that she brought from the previous stuff that she learned working with J.J. Abrams and Rian Johnson into like, that's a good place to begin a new phase of anything, I'd say.
Oh yeah. 100%
in that industry.
And the Sabersmith's question here about John Boyega, did he do anything? Yes. John Boyega's been involved in a lot of things, but it's passion projects. And this is what Star Wars does, right? These big franchises, this is what it does for actors. It makes it where you can pick what you want to do. Mm-hmm. You can decide you're going to go do stage acting, You're going to maybe go do little indie projects, right? And that's what primarily John Boyega doing some
has
indie projects.
the Woman King is a huge movie this late 2022, one of the bigger films, and this Daisy Ridley movie is getting really positive buzz. It's getting a lot of actually accolades right now. So
she did the Oriental Express, right?
Orient Express.
Yeah, the Orient Express.
Yeah, not a good movie. Not a good movie.
No, but I mean, she has done other things.
She didn't write it. It's okay.
No, it's her fault. We're going to get into that in just a moment because she has been involved in something else that's coming. It says, again, the interviewer said, I spoke with your co-star John Boyega a few months back about the backlash he had received being in Star Wars. Now, the interviewer here is wanting Daisy to lash back against social media. She's wanting to lash back against fans. Like, she's wanting to push back on things. And you'll see she asks these type of questions repeatedly. But Daisy doesn't take the bait. And there's probably a good reason for it. We'll see here. It says, I spoke with the co-star, right? I think the women and people of color in the cast certainly received a disproportionate amount of crap. I know you'd taken social media hiatus for a number of years around this time. So I was wondering, what was all that like for you? Right? So Daisy responds back, well, the funny thing is, because I don't read stuff and wasn't on social media for a while, when I was referring to how people can have big opinions about it, was random people in the street. They'd be so open with their opinions. I'd be like, I'm good. I don't need to hear that. Cool. Great. As a person, whether I like the film or not, I would never go up to a person and go, I hated your film, because I'm a human being.
Yeah.
It was probably more gendered than I was aware of. So look, she's not on the social media. It wasn't because she was getting harassed or bullied or anything like that. It's just not her jam. And she's a human being. Right? Most people in real life, and we've kind of talked about this before, like for years, being just a fan of something. If you didn't like the prequels or you didn't like Jar Jar Binks or something, you didn't go on tirades. And we do know that actors involved with the prequels had very, very bad experiences with fans who nearly caused at least some of them to have, mental breakdowns that were detrimental to their lives. Because
some fans like to be bullies.
Yeah, and they just don't realize these are other human beings you're attacking, You didn't like Jar Jar Binks? Well, don't go make Ahmed Best's life unlivable because you disliked a character in a movie. Yeah. Ahmed Best didn't do that.
Yeah, I mean, there's like a crazy level of narcissism in with fans that makes them think that their opinion is so important. Everybody must know it and they must adhere to it.
Yeah.
I'll destroy somebody because I disagree with them, or because I don't like a performance in a Star Wars movie. It's like you're weird. Right. You're a weirdo. If that's who you are, you're a weirdo. You're a loser and a weirdo.
Yeah. And Chillmonger says, even if she's lying, it's a good answer. That's true, right? Never feed the hate. And he's absolutely right. Chillmonger's nailed it here. Yeah. And Alexander Toledo is saying he's going to defer to us, but staying off social media, wasn't that part of the backlash and outrage to the sequels in her character? I don't know. I don't know Daisy personally. I've not had a discussion with her. Reading the context here, it would not seem as such. Like she just lives her life. She doesn't spend her time on social media. She's not, looking at a screen all day.
I think there was a couple of. I don't think it's like necessarily even a binary to look at it in that way, because if you think about it, like you're trying to act in a movie, and in that movie you can't go and read 50,000 different opinions about the way you look in a photo. Like you just can't do it and then perform in that scenario. at the same time, you can't be on social media because if you're holding this coffee cup, and we know that coffee cup is from a place outside of Pinewood. We know she's filming Star Wars. We know she's in a, Skellig Michael, like all of this stuff. There's all these context clues, geotagging on accident, all kinds of things that were just like these huge leaks, and then everything comes down on you. I don't see in her scenario a win at all to being on social media. I just can't think of any of it. I can't think of one thing that helped her career to be on it. So I think it's a lot of things. And I think you could take one of those things and make it seem like it was just that, but I think there's a lot of things.
Yeah. You're probably right. It's not a binary thing, right? It's not a single issue thing.
This or that, or
right. It's combination, and Daisy's just doesn't seem interested in engaging with the social media. We know there are other people who do, right? Directors, actors, they're active on social media. To
Mark Hamill. I mean, and it's like Mark Hamill, you could tell he's politically active. He's like, you know what? It's worth dealing with all this crap because I got a message I want to convey. And and that does Daisy. I'm sure she has her beliefs, but she doesn't seem highly political or highly politically active.
Right. Well, and oh shoot, why did I just forget his name? James T. Kirk. Old man now.
TJ Hooker. He went at me, Hooker. Man. He went at me one day. He went at me one day.
Well, he will. Right.
Yeah,
I mean,
he does. He does. Captain Kirk does not.
Yeah, he doesn't care what you think. Well, he does, but he'll let you know it, right? He doesn't care. He's not supposed to, right? William Shatner. That's it. William Shatner.
We don't say anything 3 times. He'll show up and start talking crap.
Exactly. He's like, "Come at me, bro." That's no kidding. Yeah. And James Gunn. He's another, right? He's out there just like setting things straight and stirring the pot. But Daisy just doesn't seem to be into that, right? Tell the story, Jason. Shatner coming after you?
No, I was eating at Galaxy's Edge, and these Trekkies walk into the restaurant dressed in full like Federation outfits.
Okay.
And they're sitting in the middle of Galaxy's Edge dressed in their Star Trek outfits. And I just like took a picture and I put it on my Twitter and I was like, look at these guys, and he's just like, he wanted to make it into like a thing, and he did. I don't remember the exact quotes about like how it went down on. And at the end, I was just like, I wish my grandparents were alive to see me get roasted by TJ Hooker. I used to watch that with them when I was a kid.
Did you see the show that William Shatner did with it was the 3 old guys? So you had Captain Kirk, you had the Fonz, and you had football quarterback starts with a B.
Bo Jackson.
No. For the Pittsburgh Steelers.
What era? What years are we talking? Like what?
70s.
Oh, okay.
The quarterback was like Terry Bradshaw. That's it, Bradshaw. So you had you had Terry Bradshaw. The 3 of them, they went on a trip overseas. It's brilliant, right? 3 old guys. Hilarious. It's a hilarious show. And George Foreman. Yes, and George Foreman.
Huh.
That's right. I forgot the Foreman was in there, but you got these really old guys and doing stuff that was not necessarily comfortable for them to do. It was great. it was really funny. But anyhow, so back to Rolling Stone. The next question. So we're following up from this question here about people coming in just saying, coming up to a person and say, "I hated your film." Blah, right? "Your character sucks." Blah. "You ruined Star Wars." Blah, whatever, Yeah. So the interviewer says, "It's pretty shocking. I wrote a piece praising your character in The Force Awakens and the feminist direction the film was taking. Got some pretty wild hate mail over it. And it was just for writing something about it." Daisy replied back, "Yeah, well, luckily I didn't read anything."
which we know she got things. This is therapy and deflection all coming together to act like just blocking it out. She totally had to. There's no way she didn't, but it's fine. That is the healthy way to remember.
It is. You're right. It is a healthy way to remember. So I think there's so much vitriol out there that I didn't need to read it. I felt like Moses Ingram recently and felt that in comparison, it was so much worse for other people. So like she compartmentalizes it out, right? Yeah. And so she's just like, I'm sure she was aware of it. I'm sure she read some of it. She's just like, nah, I'm out, right? I don't think it's just, I don't just think it's fandom. Everyone feels like they need to say everything they're feeling. And I don't know that everyone does.
Yeah.
Right? You feel like you need to say it. Maybe you don't.
Well, right? That's what I tell my kids is I was like, your opinion matters to me. But if you have an opinion about something that you're less educated on than somebody else, your opinion doesn't matter as much as somebody who knows what they're talking about.
Well, I heard a great quote years and years ago. It's like, I'd rather sit in a meeting and let people think that I'm an idiot than to open my mouth and prove it.
Right.
Right?
Yeah,
it's just
true.
like,
do it every day. I get it.
So, sometimes less is more, right?
Yeah.
So again, the interviewer is asking the question. You can see she just keeps going back to it, going back to the well time and time again. Says, there's a lot of sexism in fandoms, though. I remember when they rebooted Ghostbusters with all women cast, and people lost their minds. It's like, why are you so offended by this? Who cares?
The movie sucked, but they did lose their minds before we knew it sucked.
They did. They did. And there's funny parts of that movie. I watched it.
Sure.
It's like, okay,
I own it just because I own all the Ghostbusters stuff. You know what I mean? It's like, it is my least favorite Ghostbusters thing of all time in the end.
Yeah.
But, whatever.
Right. So it says, who cares? And Daisy says, yeah. And it's one of the things like, there's no point in having an argument about it because people will think what they think. Nothing more true could ever be said on the internet. This is like, you're not going to have an argument with somebody on Twitter and be like, oh, you know what? I see the error of my ways. Everything you said was true.
You know what I learned? You could find a sign that somebody's listening. But if you see no sign that the person's listening, you will not get anywhere. That's what it comes down to at the end of the day.
Yeah. So Daisy says, so for me, I'm going to carry on doing work and that I think speaks to people, men and women. Should not like, I'm trying to make movies to empower women. I'm trying to make movies that speaks to people, to human beings, right? Men and women. And if people don't like it, then they don't like it. Move on with your life.
I mean, I would even say you could do a movie that empowers women, but that makes men empathetic towards the plight of women. I mean, there's a lot of ways of interpreting that quote.
Absolutely. And I think sometimes that's lost in Hollywood. Like they lose that. And
the PR people like to package stuff under like Spice Girls language of essentially girl power and stuff like that. And it's like, once you do that, you've actually like lost a part of the audience who actually, I think you lose a lot of the audience because I think some women aren't even about that, even it's like, but anyways, let's go on.
Yeah. For people hating KK, they need to learn what Amy Pascal did to the female Ghostbuster.
But I always say though, like Kathleen Kennedy is not a creative producer. People pitch to her, but it's the Kevin Feige thing has these people confused.
It does.
Like,
it really does.
They're like, oh, I should come up with every idea I don't like. It's just like, you idiots. That's not even how this works.
That's not how it works.
And in 2023, when she's been there for over 10 years and you haven't figured it out, you're either really stupid or you're a con artist who just plays an angle.
Well, it's or you're just, and don't take this word wrong, right? There's words have meaning, and sometimes people don't attach the meaning to a word. They just take offense. So calm down. I'm going to say a word that's going to trigger folks.
Okay.
But sometimes you're just ignorant of something. I'm ignorant of lots of things. The word ignorant is to lack knowledge of.
Yeah.
That's what it means, to lack knowledge of. So people are just ignorant of what's going on at Lucasfilm. They lack knowledge of, and they speak as if they have knowledge of. And it's just not the fact, right? It goes back to the thing. You can just keep your mouth shut and prove that, let people think you're ignorant, or you can open your mouth and prove it.
Or you can just use Google and figure out how movies are made and read interviews and stuff and try to figure out what's going on. If you're going to have highly emotional, triggered reactions to things, you might want to at least know how the systems work.
Exactly. Kay gets it. Kay's a great person. She gets it.
Ignorant.
Obsession, which we did a show yesterday. Obsession was great. It says, preach. Thanks, Jason, for saying what I talk about all the time. Know how the business side of Lucasfilm works. And I'll say, our friend, Star Wars Obsession, he works in the industry. He knows things. He's talking place of personal experience, personal knowledge, and having been in the room where things are happening. So this isn't just like reading things or coming up with your own opinion. It's a thing.
I want
right?
Star Wars Obsession to make like little perfume bottles, and it's a Star Wars Obsession, and he could do like those like.
We need really that. I didn't know I needed it till now. But yeah, the men's cologne. I don't know.
Smells salty like our tears.
Smells salty like our
fan tears.
Made out of real fan tears.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the Rise of Skywalker? So again, the question back to I'm gonna do it. How do you feel? Again, the question to Daisy. How do you feel about the Rise of Skywalker and the way the films ended? Because that film retconned almost all of what transpired in The Last Jedi. Again, this is showing the interviewer's bias, her prejudice about it, as far as race, parentage, and a bunch of other things. The message of The Last Jedi appears to be that anyone could be extraordinary, but then that message was erased in the final film. And there's this narrative out there amongst the fans that JJ and RJ were at war with one another, each undoing what the other did. This was interesting. Daisy's reaction, her response says, well, JJ was the one who was like, she is of no one. So it wasn't just The Last Jedi where that was the message.
That's
interesting.
That isn't true though. Because I know for a fact that JJ was telling a certain journalist, big journalist, she's either a Kenobi or a Palpatine. So they just threw everything at the board so they could just say whatever they want. Because there were all of these models of she's a Kenobi, she's a Palpatine, she's a nobody. You know what I mean? Like there was they had to have been. She was a solo at one time, and I know that for a fact as well.
So she's been all and she's been none, right? And I think JJ is that as well. What you're saying, like from what I can gather, again, I don't know personally. You correct me if I'm wrong, but JJ had her as a solo, a Palpatine, perhaps Kenobi, but also a nobody. And if JJ had one of the options as nobody, and he left that as an open, right? He loves to leave these mystery boxes, right? That's a JJ thing, mystery boxes. And he left it undefined just to see where the story would go. Ryan picked back up on it. That was an option on the table. It's not like Ryan said, I take your truth and I reject it and substitute it with my own. One of my favorite quotes from Mythbusters.
What I had heard during 9 was that when the decision to bring Palpatine, to bring back Emperor Palpatine, and to make that part of the story, the problem was there was no connection for Rey and Palpatine that mattered. That would make it even like she was even tempted to join him. Which in the end ended up being weird because they really didn't do a good job of tempting her whatsoever. But that's where they were at when they were developing it. is they thought like he's gonna really throw it on the table and really get it like where she's like, yeah. And then I think that once they made her a Palpatine, they decided, oh well, now that's Grandpa, so that's the temptation. It was, is what it is. But that's where that's how I think that came about. That's why I think that it went that way ultimately. And it's funny because I know somebody higher up at Lucasfilm, and we were talking, and I asked about like the Ryan and JJ fight back when everybody was saying they're fighting, and it wasn't true. Right. But they were like, there's something that they fought about. I still to this day don't know what it was. But there's something that they fought about, and you would never guess what it was. It's so dumb. And I was like, okay.
Yeah. So, which is better, scones or muffins?
Yeah, Ray bread. We want to bring Ray bread back.
No, it's scones. I tell you, we have to have scones. No, I don't.
Yeah.
So Daisy goes on to say, what was interesting about the last one for me, again, Rise of Skywalker, was that you could be a hero and not come from anywhere. And this is what Robert St. Clair was saying. I like this, right? Choose your adventure style book, right? Jump to page 35. She's a Kenobi. Page 66. She's a Palpatine. Page 00 for nobody, right?
I like nobody. I like nobody personally.
Me too. That's I really wanted that. Because
everybody in this chat's, all of your parents are probably nobody drunks, and I think that's just a better message to society that you can pick up yourself.
Yeah. So anyway, she says, so it says, or you could be a hero and come from literally the worst person in the universe. You're not your parents. You're not your grandparents. You're not your bloodline. And you're not the generations before you. So I was always like, sure. But it's beyond my pay grade. I say the words. I do the thing. I do love the version of you can be anyone you want to be. But I also love the version of where you can rectify wrongs and can't help what you're born into. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Then they go ask another question about the when I think about dying movie. Yeah. And this is an interesting Sabersmith. My students are not Ray fans. I'm sorry. You've got to do a better job being a teacher. No, I joke.
What are your students? What are they? What are the students? What's the shared classroom band of? Like, who's the character? Who's the protagonist that they're all about?
Yeah, who is
Mando? Is it Mando? I think it's Mando.
Probably Luke. Oh, Mando. Yeah, probably.
In
right.
This day and age, probably Mando.
Probably Mando. Yeah, he says they love.
Oh,
Finn.
They love Finn.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of potential for Finn's character. This last question is also interesting because here she says, talk about dying film, blah 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 blah. It says, I'm literally starting on a film Monday that I had the idea for. My husband wrote it, and I have produced it fully from ground up. That's really because I wanted to make this film, and I'm like a turbo engine. I'm like, let's make this thing happen. I'm an EP on the Disney film I did last year, Young Woman in the Sea. Because when I
got invited to a test screening of that, and I was like, I don't want to go. I didn't go.
So she's starting to take on some more like EP producer roles. You see, working with her husband, doing these things. So she has not announced what this other movie is, but I'm curious to see what it is.
Star Wars Episode 10.
But this is a passion movie, right? So what we talked about before, having been a star in a big franchise movie will, financially take care of you for a very long time if you're responsible, right? And it allows her to do passion things like this with her husband, or for John Boyega to do passion things that he has done. Right. So I thought it was a really good article. Rolling Stone. I put a link in Discord on Jason's, Meg's, and my Discord. I think it's really good, and it gives you an insight into Daisy Ridley. And there's a lot of, like I said before, there's a lot of stories being spun out of this. and then there's narratives being created from those stories, be careful. Like, this is the lesson Jason's been trying to get us to follow, and one that I want to try to echo. Try to find the source.
Yeah,
right?
the primary source, and then
Just do a little bit of homework.
remember everything after that's a reinterpretation. It's like cloning. It's a Strandcast article. It's not as good as the original.
It's not. It's not. So try to do that, right? Try to find the source and then read it for yourself and come up with your own. It's like people complain about watching network news or CNN or Fox News or what, where they're trying to tell you what to think about a story.
Yeah.
How about you just go read it, or how about you consume it for yourself and then come up with your own decisions on it, right?
Yeah, like whenever I do an article, I will always make sure that I am putting what I know is happening. Then at the end, I will ask questions.
Yeah.
But if somebody is giving you news while they ask questions, that's a red flag. That's leading you. That's not actually giving you information.
Yeah. Really good.
It happens a lot.
So I have a live stream question on Patreon. Want to get to
got
that
one
in just a moment?
Got one. Ghostbuster.
Oh, we've got a real one. And just let me share this with everybody. If you go to my Patreon, you find it at patreon.com/SWS Star Wars Santa, right? SWSANTA. You can find our Patreon. You can join there for as little as $1 a month, and then you get access to this question right here. Right? Use an unlimited super chat. You can ask a question. We'll discuss it on the on a live stream if it's appropriate. If it's appropriate. Here's this Richard Todd asks, who do you think would win a fight, Luke Skywalker or Darth Bane?
Which era Luke Skywalker?
True.
That's
And
a question I got for you. Because if it's like Last Jedi Luke Skywalker, that gets a little bit more complicated because he has wizard powers we can't comprehend.
Mandalorian Luke Skywalker?
Probably going to die. He's probably going to get his butt kicked.
Mandalorian Luke Skywalker probably beats Darth Bane.
Although Mandalorian Luke
Hope.
was a little closer to a prequel Jedi. Like they did move him very close. He's doing Anakin's moves and stuff by that point. But like Return of the Jedi Luke is dead. He's not going to be able to hang in a fight. He couldn't even fight Darth Vader. Darth Vader was just like, trying to get his son to go drinking with him or whatever.
Right.
And then, but like, Mandalorian Luke, I think probably though, killing droids is one thing, right? Like that's kind of the lesson. Stormtroopers and stuff is different than like Bane. So I think Bane would definitely kill him. Unless it was Last Jedi era Luke, because we don't really know what became of Luke to that point. We have that one scene. He's like, I don't use the Force. Then he's like hologramming himself across the universe, and it kills him though. Yeah. So it says his power's not infinite; it's finite. But yeah, I'd have to think Darth Bane would probably be a little bit like Pee Wee Herman versus those bikers in that bar.
Yeah, you're probably right. And by the way, I just started reading the Bane trilogy. People recommended that to me a long time ago, and I've been doing all kinds of other stuff. And I just started reading that, and just a couple chapters in, just started it. And here in Patreon, you'll see this is where we're going through the Darth Plagueis novel. So there's chapter 2.
I still want that background to be what Palpatine behind you. It has to. We got to Photoshop that and make that your background. It needs to happen. Like both of you sitting together. It's so good.
So there you get the prologue, and you can comment. We can have discussion about each of the chapters as we go through. I've been trying to do multiple chapters a week. Otherwise, we'll never get through the daggone thing. It'd take 3 years. So here you go. Do those things. And I thank you for the question, Richard Todd. I think Darth Bane most of the time, until Luke gets a little bit older. Mando era, Luke, maybe Luke. Last Jedi era, Luke, maybe Luke. But before that, it's going to be Bane for sure.
Mando era Luke is probably like Obi-Wan Kenobi in parts of Phantom Menace. In parts. But we still don't know if he could go like full on like with Darth Maul at that point. Like
Nerd Mafia wants me to refresh the Patreon, which means he put a one in there. I gotta read.
All right,
Nerd Mafia. This is it. I mean, ask a long time. It's tough to rehash. Recently, he's kicked off his basketball team. Any advice on how to cope? At least he didn't ask how to get back on. Yeah. This time he's accepted that he's not on the team. And he's just going to have to cope with it. And in doing
stages of grief, and he's
right. You're working through the stages of grief. Now you've accepted, and now you just got to cope. So I'd say continue to be on that journey. Watch more Star Wars. That's how you do it. You cope by
just
watching
lie.
more Star Wars.
Say you're on it, and then run for a governmental office,
or start your own basketball team, and then you could be the point guard. There's that. Game cubing. I still think Disney will power up Vader. Characters made for Disney Park. The costume. He's immortal in the culture. Well, he does appear in the parks.
He's in Disneyland. Yeah, that's the thing that I'm always saying to people. Nobody ever was like, "Oh, Galaxy's Edge or nothing." It's like you go to Tomorrowland. It's Star Wars Land light. Like half the time, Tomorrowland is like Space Mountains, like Star Wars themed. Star Tours is there, and there's like this photo opportunities, and Captain Phasma and Darth Vader and Kylo Ren are walking around in original trilogy stormtroopers. It's like that's the place where you deal with the other stuff, and as long as they keep it that way, I'm cool with Galaxy's Edge staying on point as long as they had both. But I think Tomorrowland's supposed to change, right?
I got a picture back in the day with Jedi Mickey. It's one of my favorites.
Oh yeah,
Jedi Mickey is great. So you can get those kind of things, those experiences, and if you go during Star Wars Days, which is I want to think in May, I think, or is it June? I can't remember.
Yeah, I mean they did that in Florida. They didn't do that out here in Southern California. We never had.
Yeah, they do it in Florida every year, and I can't remember if it's May or June. It's a great time to go to Disney World.
I just always remember the Star Wars actors riding in open cars like they're JFK. I was like,
That's odd. Just yesterday, Kayla was at Hollywood Studios in Disney World. Yeah, and she took some pictures there just outside Star Tours. She rode it a couple times. She loved it. She really did enjoy that. So
yeah.
What else do we have? We have a Mike Porter dad joke, which is excellent today, and it's a shame that Meg isn't here for it because this is perfectly set up for Meg. It's a wonderful Mike Porter dad joke. I made a slight alteration to it, the Mike Porter dad joke.
Add Red Bull and beans.
It still has the heart of it. It says, what happened when the Jedi Master was killed? Well, then the Jedi were up the creek without a yaddle.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna work on it too. It shouldn't. The punchline should have been the Padawan. The Padawan.
Yeah. The Padawan.
Yeah, it was without a yaddle.
Okay. Yeah. The Padawan were up the creek without a paddle.
It takes a village, guys.
Without a yaddle. Yes. Very good. Very good. It was really good. Porter the Shill. Mike Porter, fantastic. Good job there. I think that's it. We covered all the things I wanted to cover today.
We did.
You've got a show with Rob here in a little bit.
Yeah. Probably one.
Fantastic.
Standard time.
Fantastic. You guys make sure you're following MakingStarWars.net. I've got the link not only to the YouTube channel, but your website and to Star Wars Meg's YouTube and Meg's second channel, the Meg's Cantina. Make sure you're following that because Meg's Cantina, not only can you get some original music that Meg
Red Bull and beans. But who wants to eat some Red Bull and beans? So many great songs on there. So much good music.
It is, but she has great music. But she also does like these interviews and other discussions that she posts over there. And make sure you're a member of her Patreon. Jason's as well, right? We all have a Patreon. That's the best way to support our channels. Patreon takes less money than YouTube does.
Since they say I buy my leaks, you guys should give me some money and we can get some more, I guess. If that's true.
That's what I heard.
We'll see what happens.
I just, yeah. We're joking, but that is a thing, right? People say,
not pay me.
Oh, no, Jason Ward, he doesn't get leaks. He buys leaks.
Yeah.
I don't know. You must be independently wealthy. I want to know why you haven't hired me.
Man, I must make a lot of money off those leaks to be buying the leaks.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
It's
lucrative.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, Jason's got to be like loaded. This dude's got to just be like swimming in the cash.
In the cash.
That's. I mean, with the quality leaks that you get, those can't be the free type. It can't be the ones that you just go and make friends with people and be a decent human being and talk and be like, dude, it's a pretty cool job you got. Oh, it sucks that they don't treat you better. Oh,
that's a very tiny, small thing that happened in the big picture.
Yeah. Patreon takes a lot of money, and they're taking more. It went the latest agreement. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I think
YouTube,
on Patreon I'm a founder, so I think I don't have it as bad, but maybe I do now.
No, YouTube just did a new contract thing, and updated the terms of service and whatever, and they jumped up to like 40%, 45%, something like that. Jeez. They're taking a ridiculous amount of the money off the top. YouTube.
Yeah,
Patreon doesn't take near as much. So,
that's just going to force creators to stop using the channel program and to go to Patreon entirely. So
and Patreon now allows you to host videos directly in Patreon. You don't have to record them on YouTube.
Oh, okay. I'll start doing that.
Post them like private. You could just post directly in Patreon on their platform. So that's why I'm doing what I'm doing there. And you're right. Like, more people will. It's like, use YouTube for advertising and use Patreon for your
scoop money. Oh yeah. Like,
well, because YouTube's the biggest platform on the planet, right? Mm-hmm. YouTube, Twitter, that kind of thing. Yeah. But Patreon's a way to support your content creators. It really is. So
best way.
You guys, thanks so much for hanging out with us. Jason, thanks for hanging out with me. And
of course,
we will. If I get time this afternoon, I may just drop in. We'll see.
Yeah, you just tell me, send the link and I'll send it. That's all. Okay. Always an open house. Me, casa, you casa, whatever.
Well, and if that Rob guy ever flakes out on you, and just leaves you.
You don't want to be on the show when he's there because he's all Avatar. I understand.
Well, and now I get this grief about trying to get my one-eyed wife to go watch a 3D movie.
Monocle, right. The 3D monocle. This is not fair, dude. That was messed up, right?
That was messed up. Yeah, it was messed up.
I mean, poor woman. Poor woman.
All right, Jason, I'll catch you later. Thanks so much.
Bye, everybody. Bye-bye. Have a good day.
Thanks. And you guys, thanks for hanging out with me today. I really do appreciate our YouTube supporters, our Patreon supporters. We've had a wonderful day hanging out together. I love talking Star Wars with all of you, and this community is so much fun. So you guys take care. Do something this weekend with your family, your loved ones. I cherish my weekends with my family. Try to do something, make the world just a little bit better place, or at least make it better for your friends and family. So love you guys. Take care. And I can't wait. Oh, you know what? This isn't going to go smoothly. This isn't going to go the way you think. I've got to log into the studio. So you guys, thanks for hanging out with me. And until next time, our friends, Merry Christmas. And may the Force be with you always. Bye-bye.